Okay. Take two. And we are live. Okay. Well, this is only live stream number 2, so hopefully audio levels are good. Hopefully you can start to see some people show up in the chat here. And we can get to it. Let's see. I may have tweeted out, hey, Jeff's in the house. DeRusso Designs, what is up? Happy hump day to you. All right, we got art mods, we got shenanigans. Audio sounds awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. I spent the last hour playing with OBS, trying to get it all figured out, and I thought I was getting super fancy with it, trying to change scenes, and but I couldn't get audio sources to quite sync with scene changes and stuff. So we're gonna try the wireless lav. The beautiful sky is up. You're hearing me? Ah, okay. Well, let's see here. All right, let's see what scene we're on. Beautiful sky is up where, Jeff? You're not seeing me? Are you seeing a desktop? I'm such a noob at this stuff, so I hope you're bearing with me. I see me, so I hope you see me too. Maybe he's looking out the window on his commute home and thinking it's a beautiful day. I hope that's the case. But I do have my desktop set to screen share with a beautiful sky background, so you're confusing me. 405 freeway sky. Okay, not some of that action there. Okay. Notice the fancy. We're going fancy effects now. We got our Star Wars wipes. Hopefully we can get a couple more people on here in short order. And we're wiping through. Hey, Matt's in the house. How I do it. Let's do a little of this for how I do it. Matt, you should still have mod privileges from last time you were on. Let me know if you don't see that. Hopefully you don't have to swing that band hammer too hard. I can't imagine you will. We're still very, very small. But, all right, well, we're live. We've been going 2 minutes. I'm going to get started, and hopefully as others jump on, they can. Had a little bit of a false start, accidentally clicked the start streaming instead of start recording when I was testing my audio out and stuff like that. So we will jump in and we'll see how this goes. So first thing on the docket for today, I wanted to talk about resuming failed prints. I think we've all been there before. If you've been printing long enough, you've probably had to go through a power outage and woken up or just been realized that your print is like failed midway, and that is one of the more frustrating things to have to deal with. Behind me here, I have one of my new favorite models that I've been printing, the Luby 3D Sorceress, and you can see. Let's see if we can do it. We're gonna switch to camera 2. And I had to go lower res on this guy so the audio would stay synced up. But you can see I got like 95% of the way, and I had a heat creep issue, and my hot end clogged and started air printing. And that's an issue for discussing another time, because I've been dealing with that on the big box for a while. It's an E3D V6, and I've got a custom mount for it, and I think that's preventing airflow, and plus I'd been printing all day with it, so it had overheated, and I got almost all the way through it, but it had seized up on me. And so I thought, hey, this could be a good opportunity to talk about resuming failed prints. There's a bunch of techniques already out there on how to do it, and it's going to vary depending on what printer you have. I have a technique that's worked well for me, but it may or may not work for you depending on what the geometries are of your printer and how it homes and some different stuff. So what I want to do is I want to talk about it today, and then I'm going to record a more detailed version of it to post, because frankly I'm not brave enough to attempt it live. I hope that's not too big a disappointment, but it's there's probably a little bit more of a deep dive too when you get into chopping apart G-code and understanding that. So I'll show you kind of a screen grab, and I'll kind of talk you through it really quick, but we'll do the deep dive as a separate video, and I think that that'll be more complete and more helpful for you guys. So hopefully that's a plan. Yes, Jeff, you can certainly print and resume your print and glue them together, or you know, fix it up that way too. But you know, being the hacker I am, I always like to try to complete it on the fly. And I'll actually show you. Let me show you a model that I did this with, just so you can see. This was sounds like my daughter's put some money in it already. This was one of the unicorns that I did last week from Aspie, and you will notice there's a seam. Wow, I gotta get this. There's a seam on it that is terrible, and you might think, oh, that's not a very good job resuming your print. That's not actually where I resumed. I resumed down here at the neck, and it was absolutely seamless. But of course, I ended up bumping the printer while I was messing around with some other stuff, and so I got a little seam in here that I need to sand down and file out, or not, and leave it. My daughters don't seem to mind. But anytime I'm doing these long, giant prints, there's just the odds, you know, the longer the print is, the odds of it failing on you are higher. And so, you know, resuming does seem to have to happen. I also did, for those of you who've seen it, I did that nuclear cloud explosion that I gave to Pyro, who is in the house. Welcome. And that thing failed on me twice, mostly because I was messing with the heat on it, I think a little bit too much. I did that in PETG. That thing was a real bear. I wrestled with that a bit, and I didn't get to finish it as well as I wanted to, Trav, sorry. But I did end up pulling this stunt on that as well. And one of the things that's really nice, about both of these printers, but my Delta, the Hatchbox Alpha in particular, is that the Delta homes at the top. And so when a print fails, as long as I don't bump the base plate or move anything, I can actually rehome, measure my height, and then go into the G-code, which I'm going to show you in just a sec, and just chop off the top part of it and resume from there. So welcome to everybody in the chat. Looks like we got a good following going here. All right, so why don't I go ahead and show you what my process is, and then you guys can give me some chatter on the chat and tell me if you've done it before, if it works for you, and we'll get into it from there. When I do film the video to do the resume on Sorceress, I will do that. I will film it as I'm going, and I'll show you my process for measuring height and all that stuff too. But just to give you a rough sense of the process, it's really a matter of, one, cleaning the surface off so that you've got like a level piece, and so you're gonna need to get a hobby knife if there's like little drips and drabs and stuff. You don't have to really spend a lot of time with that, because you can kind of play with that height enough where you've got some playroom with it. But if you want that finish to try to look as good as possible, ideally you got to get that thing level, and you got to be super careful when you're doing that you do not knock it off of the bed. Ideally, you'd want to do this right away if you can, and get that bed heated right back up to temperature so that you don't potentially have the part popping off or lifting off on you. And how that works out is going to depend fully on what you're printing and how much surface area there is on the base. But the the sooner you do it, the better. This is going to be an interesting challenge because this failed on me yesterday, and I have still yet to clear the nozzle on it, so I'm actually going to have to disassemble. This is going to be one of the bigger challenges I've had because I'll be messing with the geometry a little more than I'd like to on it. But once I get that hot end cleaned out, get it all reset, basically what I'll do is I'll end up taking, this is not my go-to measuring device, but I'll get a rough sense of the height it is off of the build plate. And this guy looks like it's about, this gal looks like it's about 94 millimeters off. And then what I do is I swipe over to my G-code. And this is actually some edited G-code on the nuke lamp that I did for Travis that I mentioned earlier for Apyro. For those of you who have not dug into your G-code before, let me go back to me really quick. If you've never dug into your G-code, this is a text file, if you didn't know that. You can seriously open it in just any text editor. And depending on what the slicer is that you used it with, you're able to, you know, if I was smart, I would have put this in as an input into the same source, but I'm going to talk over top of this screen for this time, and we'll work on our production value a little more next time. What's really nice about Simplify 3D, which is my go-to slicer, is that it has fantastic documentation of or commentary on the lines of what's happening. And in this case, let me see if I can, I'm going to open up just a fresh G-code so you can see all that commentary real quick. Go to my 3D projects bin here. Let's open up, oh, anything here. We'll take this guy, first of all, drag it over here so you can see what I'm doing. My apologies as I'm working here. All right, there's a spinner. We all love spinners, don't we? That I was working on, and I'm going to open up with just text edit inside of my Mac here. I do need, Heather, I do need a faceplate for the printer. You're absolutely right. It's everybody makes fun of me for my plywood printer. Wow, this is taking forever to open up here. Let's see. I think I might have too many things going on at once, but hey. All right, all apps, and let's just zip down here to text edit. Bingo bango. Open up. And I opened an STL file and not a G-code file. Wake up, dude. You think I'd been fully caffeinated. I had my afternoon coffee, but apparently not awake enough. Here, let's try a G-code file. First of all, people, make sure we're doing the right thing. Rookie ball, rookie ball. All right, take two on this. Open, open, open. Oh, the joys of doing stuff live and not being fully prepared. QRST. We're doing text edit. Interesting side note there, you get to see what STL code looks like as well, or you did. All right, so here's what I was talking about. This is G-code generated by Simplify 3D back when I was still running 3.1.1. You can see it gives you all the details on all the parameters that it's setting for my particular printer. Now, G-code is, when you're slicing, it's configuring it specifically, a lot of stuff specifically for the geometries of your printer, but a lot of this stuff is true for all too. And there is a fantastic resource, and I will put a link in the description of this, of just a cheat sheet on how to read G-code. But the gist of what I want to show you today is, after you measure, I'm going to toggle back to my face for a second so I can talk, because talking over top of that is lame. after you open your G-code and you've measured the height that you're trying to make up, you go back into the G-code, and what's nice about Simplify 3D, and I can't speak, maybe tell me if Cura and KissSlicer and other slicers do this as well, but it actually will show you comments on what layer it's on at any specific point. So if I just do a text search here for layer, for example, and there's a lot of stuff on layer, but what is it? What's that first? Here we go. Here we go. So this is layer 11, and it tells you what your Z height is, which is exactly what you want to know. So in the case of the Sorceress one, I would go and do a search for, actually what I want to search for is my Z height specifically, since I know roughly it's 94 millimeters up off the ground. So I would do a quick search for Z equals 94, which should get me close enough decimal wise, and then that'll tell me what layer I'm at. And literally all I have to do is copy everything above. Well, there's some exceptions to this. Not exceptions, but you could just copy everything above it, delete it, and then resave it to your SD card or send it over Octoprint or however you get it over to your printer, and it would just resume right from there. You certainly don't want to do that because you're going to also want to make sure you're setting your temps again and that your offsets are set and some of those other details. And I'm not going to get into that right now. I'll do that when I do my deep dive video. But just know that all these are our toolpaths, and each one of these lines is a command. It's like go down this far. For example, this line right here, it's saying bring the tool head. Here, this one. Bring the tool head to X 1.5 and Y 5.4 and start extruding at this speed is all that really means. And then when it completes that, it goes to the next line, and it goes to the next line. And that's really all there is to G-code. And G-code is also used for CNC milling. I'm not sure if it's used for laser cutting as well. I don't have experience with that, but somebody in chat might be able to check in. Yes, Sublime Text, I use that for web editing. You're right, Adam. There's a ton of different text editors. And honestly, if you are savvy with that kind of stuff and you want a different text editor, as Dr. McCoy has pointed out, a lot of them will have more advanced find features and numbering, line numbering schemes and things that can make things a little bit easier on your life. So that's the gist of it. Like I said, I'm not brave enough to attempt this live just because I feel like I've got enough variables and things I'm learning right now. But it's a handy-dandy trick for resuming something in the case that you can get the layers cleaned off, which I can in this case, and you can rehome without having to disrupt the model. Now, I said on the Delta, that's easy because the effector homes up at the top. On the big box, this guy homes over in the bottom left corner, and so when I'm doing prints, I make a point of making sure, if I can help it, to allow room for the tool head to always be able to home with wherever I need it to be, so that, with the model in place, so that if I have to do a resume, I can do that. If the model was so thick that it took up the whole plate, this would be really tough. It's not to say that it couldn't be done, but you're going to be having a hard time if you can't get your zeros and your offsets reset again. Matt says lasers do use G-code. At least desktop lasers do. I thought so. It's a toolpath, and there's probably some specific G-code, Matt, for controlling the laser intensity or things like that, but I'm not sure. Yeah, Pyro has a lot of experience with lasers. He says he never uses G-code. Does that mean that fiber laser you use, Trav, is it doesn't use G-code, or the software you use handles that translation for you? Dr. McCoy, the Glowforge, I don't think is that even out yet? I know there's been a lot of drama around that piece too. I'd be curious to hear. I really would love to learn a lot more about desktop lasers. That's some cool stuff. All right, let's put that on pause. Does anybody I apologize. I haven't been watching the chat, so if there's been any commentary on there, oh man, I'm really choppy. Is my YouTube's telling me my stream health is red? Am I really stuttering, guys? Part of the dangers of living out in the sticks is that my internet connection speed can vary wildly. And I'm hoping it's hanging in there. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of... the YouTube lies. Alright, Shenanigans says it lies. Not sure. Most of the software, Travis says, uses specifically for the lasers. It's a pain, actually. Okay, we don't mess. Jumpy vid. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cut... Let me see if I can cut... Is this... If I cut my resolution, is that going to screw stuff up, like, on the fly? Anybody with OBS? We're going to find out. Because I don't want to be choppy for you guys here. Let me try dialing this down. And here we're gonna go to 1280 by 720, and actually I don't know if I can do that without changing my stream profile. Very laggy, very laggy. Okay, sorry guys. I don't know if I can do this without losing the stream. I think it's because, yeah, I would have to shut off to change my output. I don't think that's gonna help it. Smoother? This is ugly, huh? Well, hey, this is rookie learning here, I guess, for me. So we'll learn a lesson. Maybe 1080 is just too high for the connection I have. But we'll give this a go, and hopefully the audio's coming through enough where you can at least get the gist of what I'm saying, and I'll try to do better for next time, unless you guys think I should stop, and I don't think I should stop. The show must go on, right? The show must go on. Okay. Let's talk about topic number 2, because I think this is a really important piece, and I think this could have a stream in and of itself. But I feel like there's been a lot of discussion. Stretch out my video window? Okay. I don't know if that's going to happen. I feel like I need to drop the main resolution overall. But anyway, we're going to keep going. Bob says keep going. I'm going to keep going. And so does Matt. I'm going to bring... I want to bring up this topic. Like I said, I think it's important because a lot of people have been talking about it on Twitter and online. And the subject of content creation and the stress that creates for a lot of the community is something that I personally am really sensitive to. Obviously, we all have families and other commitments that we need to spend time, people we need to spend time with, and it's super important that we find a good balance, obviously, in life and in work and in our hobbies and whatnot. And I wanted to share, I guess, a quick anecdote from back in the day when I first started streaming. I didn't start streaming. Streaming didn't even exist then, but I first started doing YouTube. I had a channel called Vudu, which I've mentioned to some of you. And if you look in the back archives of my channel, you'll find these funny old videos with just really kind of crummy production value, but actually did rather well. We were one of the original partners on YouTube, and we got invited down to YouTube headquarters as such. And it's hilarious because I think I had maybe 60 videos, 50 or 60 videos on there. And some I've probably pulled down since because we did some collaboration work with others that ended up putting on their own channels. But anyway, we went to YouTube, And this very subject came up, and this was back in like 2006, 2007 timeframe. And I remember sitting next to another guy that was invited there who had, and I don't remember what his channel was. I'm going to look for it, and if I find it, I'll post a link. But he had this video that went viral that was for his pug, that was doing, it wasn't the skateboarding dog, but it was something in that genre where his pugs were, you know, following a sound or something, and it just, people went bananas for it. And he told me, he's like, I caught lightning in a bottle with this video. He had some ridiculous millions of views for this thing, and he couldn't recreate it. And I think a lot of people suffer from the 15 minutes of fame on YouTube or whatever your platform might be, and then they feel this obligation to reproduce that, and it's not an easy thing. I mean, there's companies that study how to make things go viral as, you know, a marketing plan and all this stuff, and they never succeed. So, you know, a lot of it is luck and being in the right place in the right time, and a lot of it is just doing enough content over time that it finds its way out there and gets to the top. But in this age of Patreon and sponsorships and stuff like that, I feel like the pressure is greater than ever to perform, because now it feels like you have you have people watching and expecting you to produce content that's going to provide them enough value to feel like they want to continue to sponsor you. And if not that, if you're a channel partner and you're monetizing your videos, and you're getting paid off of that, and YouTube, as they often do, change up the algorithm again or something like that, and you're not getting the views that you once did, and now you're not getting paid, and you're counting on that income, you know, that creates a lot of stress and stuff too. So I can't guide you personally, and I know that this doesn't necessarily apply to all. But I'll get to your questions in a sec, Jeff. I know this doesn't apply to all, but I think that it's important to realize, if you're a consumer as well as a creator, that there is this stress and this feeling. And I think that everybody, you know, says it's all about finding balance. I can only speak personally what's worked for me. And I realize that I don't have a whole lot of recent content on there, and I'm all over the place. I'm doing, you know, a video of me running and a video of me working on the shed quarters, and then I'm doing a video with my son. But that's kind of how I operate. I really am a jack of all trades. I love doing all this stuff. I really wish I could share all of it with you. I've always said it'd be great to just have a drone following me around and just recording everything, so I didn't have to worry about editing and all that time-consuming stuff. But I don't, and so I have to pick and choose. And so I try to find ways that I can incorporate my family, that I can incorporate stuff that I need to be doing. I try to do some long form stuff and some short form. I'm really excited about live streaming. This is only my second one, but it's really nice to be able to talk and present in a manner that you know, you can get some feedback. I'm really hoping I can do maybe some interview style. I love what J-Wall does over at Print That Thing. I think that's an awesome format. I think that there's ways to find good content that don't necessarily require a lot of time and effort. Now, that's not to say that I feel like you should just create content for the sake of content. But I think that everybody out here realizes that we all have other commitments, and they understand, and we need to you know, support each other and find balance. And if there's any opportunity to compromise by, you know, maybe doing some short form and doing some long form, figuring out how to involve your family, if that's something that you feel is appropriate. I know that not everybody does, and that's fine, to each their own. I think that there's definitely some stuff there. So that's all I'm going to say about it for right now. I do want to, you know, keep the conversation going, because I think that it's important. I think that there was a lot of great conversation on Twitter around this, and Patreon and some other stuff just the other day, and I hope we can keep it up. I know that it can be sensitive and taboo sometimes when things like money are involved, but end of the day, you know, it's important that we just respect and understand, and that's that. Jeff, I'm not sure if you're honestly asking what Patreon is, but for those of you who don't know what Patreon is, it's a site where people can basically get subscribers who will donate a monthly fee to support what it is you do in exchange, typically in exchange for some benefit. So a lot of people will do, say if you're into 3D modeling, they will have patrons, people that subscribe to their Patreon page that'll say, I'll donate $5 a month so that you can produce this content, and in exchange I will give you first access to download my files, or I'll give you access to download my files at all. Like, some people don't put things on Thingiverse, and that's totally fine. You're joking or you're serious? I don't know. But anyway, I hope that explains kind of what Patreon is. It's pretty simple model. Go check it out. I want to say that Patreon takes, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, like 5% less the PayPal fees or whatever. I don't do Patreon, so I don't know. But I won't get into the details of that. I feel like that also could be in and of itself its own thing, and maybe it should be. I'd really like to discuss more with people that are doing Patreon, what works and what doesn't. I know I have kind of my impressions about it. I'd mentioned on Twitter, for those of you guys following the other day, that I'm not as, I don't want to say I'm not as big of a fan, and that doesn't mean that I don't completely support people that choose to use Patreon. I think that you have every right to get compensated for what you do, and I think that it's a really good, it can be a really good way to do it, but like everything, there's no perfect answer to it, and you know, there's compromises. And I think there's resistance, you know, from other people from signing up. I personally like to try to show my support in other ways, but again, to each their own, and you know, no judgment at all. I hate it, huh? I do not hate it. I do not hate it. Okay, 20? Matt, you think 20% on Patreon? That seems steep to me. I don't think it's that high. Somebody else chime in that has a Patreon account that can tell us what that entails. But let's see. Yeah, Dr. McCoy. Yes, I did say shed quarters. I did a brief vid on that over the weekend. My dad came up, and I was really happy to spend time with my dad's 70, and he came up, and I love building stuff. You know, I say making and stuff, but I mean, it goes well beyond 3D printing for me. I love, like, advanced construction. I am not a contractor or anything like that, but I'm dangerous enough, we'll say, to do most of it. Maybe save, like, advanced masonry and, you know, concrete work. There's stuff that has a permanence to it that I'd rather pay a professional to do, but I am crazy enough to do just about anything, and I've screwed up everything at some point, and I hope to share more of that with you. But the shed quarters is going to be the new home for RepCord HQ. As you can see, I've got everything in disarray here. It's always in disarray, but I'm working on consolidating a lot of stuff for the move, which will dovetail into our next subject nicely. I want to show you guys something. Bear with me just a second. Dr. McCoy says Patreon does say 5%, plus they're trying to minimize transaction fees, which is awesome. I think that's great. You guys can still hear me, and the audio's staying good. Look at what I've found in my cleaning endeavors. And this is not at all meant to show off how much filament I have. Look at all this filament, it's amazing. No, I'm just kidding. This is actually, I'm gonna call this, like, this is some of the first stuff that I sourced and spooled and labeled and put up for sale on Amazon. And truthfully, yeah, holy box of filament. This is not even scratching the surface, Sean. But what I want to ask you guys is about this. I would call this maybe beta. beta product. And that's not to say that I didn't spend a lot of time testing it, getting the dimensions right. I pushed a lot of this stuff, and I would say it was decently well received when I was selling it on my Amazon store. But I got mixed review. I want to say the average review was something like in the 3 to 3.5. Don't quote me on that. I'll look, but it's way lower than I want it to be. I'm kind of a perfectionist and whatnot. And in my iterating, I went to the new spool configuration, which I'll show you in a sec because we'll do a giveaway at the very end for those of you who are willing to hang out. I do have a hard stop at 6:15 technically when soccer practice is over. So we're not going to go much past an hour here, but anyway, back to this. So this was some of my original stuff that I had sourced, tested. This stuff here is from China. There is some more stuff in here that I sourced from a supplier that was in Sunnyvale, California, so in the U.S. And the issue with this wasn't necessarily the filament itself. The diameter was good. All that was in spec. It was printing like butter when I had it come out. But the spool being this small, and specifically not this small, but the barrel, which is the inner part of the spool that the filament wraps around, is very small on these. I don't have an empty handy. Actually, I do here. Well, maybe you'll get a better sense of it. This has still got stuff on it, but you can see as it gets down there, it's basically no bigger than what that hole is. And the problem is when it's getting wound that tight, it bruises or it compromises the filament, so that after a while it's certainly more sensitive to breakage if you're leaving it out and it gets brittle. And just in general, this stuff seemed to absorb water a little bit more and have issues with becoming brittle. I'm not going to go into why filament gets brittle. There's a lot of debate around that and whether or not it's the water or if it's other starch contents or other things like that. But the end result was I wasn't super happy with it. So why am I showing this to you guys? I was cleaning out because I'm in the process of getting everything organized for the shed quarters. See you, Dr. McCoy. Thanks for coming by. And I unearthed this box, and I didn't realize that I still had this here, and I can't bring myself to just throw it away. I don't want to throw it away. It's wasteful. There's probably a good 30 spools of stuff in here, but I don't want to sell it because I'm not confident in it. I don't want people having a bad experience or have to deal with a bunch of returns and whatnot. And so I've been tossing back and forth ideas. Do I donate to a school? Do I try to recycle it somehow? Which I haven't found a good solution there. Jeff, you like the baby rolls? They are. They're very cute. Yeah, you could snuggle up with one, right? Yes, Bob, you're totally right. They would be good for test prints. The truth is, though, I've got more here than I can deal with, and I know all of you are going to start like, send me some. Like, I don't have the time or the money. It's not that I don't have the money, but I can't be shipping spools of these little things all over creation. So, maybe if I was splitting it in 2 or 3, I might considering sending it somewhere. But I don't know. I wanted to throw it out to you guys if you had any ideas in terms of like what would be the best to do with it. Should I just, they'd be good for photo ops, huh? Just like throw it in a big pile and swim around in them like Scrooge McDuck, Jeff? That's the plan there. I don't know. I'm probably more sensitive because I don't like having my name on something that could be potentially associated negatively. But I think that if the expectation were properly set, perhaps it wouldn't be a bad thing. Chris is in the house. Yes, you cannot get enough. Cannot get enough caffeine, man. So I don't know. We don't have to go into it with the chat here, but if you guys have ideas, we can continue this on Twitter or other places. What do I do with this old filament? Some of it is still vacuum sealed quite well, and I imagine will print really well. I don't know how it's going to hold up over time. I think if you ran this thing like right away, I don't think you'd have any problem with it. What I have found with these smaller spools and the baby spools, they're tight. If you let them sit out in like this unwound state when they're under tension, they can crack. Some of them have, not all of them. And like I said, I can't go through and test every one of them. So what to do with old filament? I don't have the answers, and I really wish I did. But perhaps you guys do. Maybe it's worth bundling up and sending them somewhere. Yeah, maybe it is an adopt-a-bot thing, Chris. That could well be. It's PLA. It's PLA. All of this is PLA, and I actually have some cool, some decent colors in here. This is, oh wow, this is some of my this is like OG stuff right here. But so, yeah, some of it's like half used. I mean, it's literally all stuff I was testing with. Look at this. Look at this Baguio colors. So I mean, it's probably worth, I don't know. Like I said, maybe if I guess if I donate it to a school, I mean, doesn't that seem lame though? If you're like giving it to a school and they're you know, they're getting stuff that's just not great. Like I don't want them to be like, oh yeah, thanks a lot, donated stuff that could potentially be, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll work great for them. I don't know. Ask Chapman. There's some Iowa school teachers that are looking for help. Cool. So, all right. Lastly, I'm gonna wrap it up, and then we'll do our drawing. We're down to 8, which is totally fine. We will get our magical drawing iris box for that, and just a couple updates real quick as I do that. I don't know how many of you guys saw Sockman that I released a while ago. Sockman's right back here. But I said I was going to release, this is, Dr. McCoy left us, but he's the professor down at UC Berkeley. And he was the guy in the video that, you know, when we designed the little base for Sockman here. Got unicorn. If you haven't seen Sockman, look in the back videos, the back catalog for what Sockman is, because he's awesome. Like, who doesn't love this? Here, we're going to turn him on so you can see what it is. And I'll tell you why I'm showing him off again. Woo! Oh, you can't. There he goes. All right, so mini windsock dancer. I'm in the way. And I'm going to release that for people that want to print it, and I actually got some more of those duct fans for anybody that wants to make. Berkeley is up for you, Jeff. It's down for me. Anybody that was interested in making one, I know that it got some play on Twitter and stuff like that, and so I'm creating a kit, and I'm calling it a maker kit, and there's actually a couple of things that I'm going to be releasing on my Amazon store in the coming weeks for makers that might want to do something like this with their kids or for themselves if you want to have your own windsock guy. Might be good for pre-football rallies or something, you know, outside your house. Yeah, Sean wants one. See, I know. So I picked up some of the parts, and really there's not a lot to it. It's this ripstop nylon fabric and hose clamp, and there is a printable version of the hose clamp, but that's a tough print. So if you're up for a challenge, I'll put the printable hose clamp. I did not design that, but I mixed in with that. And then the base here to keep little fingers in from getting sucked into the intake. It's not that strong, but you know, safety first, and it, you know, adds a little flair to it. So you can print that part. And this one I put a switch on. I think for the kit, I'm just going to do, you know, plug it in, or you know, plug it into an extension cord, or if you have like a power block. Why am I brain dead? You know what I'm talking about. You know, you can turn it on and off that way. I need a solar powered one. That might take some juice. That'd take a bit of an array, I think, to drive that. But yeah, that'd be cool, right? Don't need to plug it in then. I like that idea, Chris. I'm gonna think about that. I've got some panels. I wonder if I could generate enough to run an inverter that could power that. I'll have to see what the pull on the motor for that is. But anyway, I'm putting them together as maker kit. I've got just a couple I think that I'm gonna throw out there just to see if people want to do them. I didn't know if it'd be a good idea to like try to sell pre-assembled ones too. I frankly don't have time to be like focusing on building those. Pick you too, huh? Let's see. So anyway, Sockman, I ended up getting some of this ripstop fabric though, is what I wanted to talk about. And the nylon content on this, and it's loud, sorry about the crinkling there, guys. The nylon content on this seems like really intense, so this isn't like laying down the way that one is. So finding the right fabric, that's not exactly my wheelhouse. I found some kite fabric that I'm working with. I don't remember where I got the stuff for the original, so I got to keep looking. But anyway, this is the fun. I come up with these little ideas and see if they are of interest to anybody, and hopefully the proceeds from the sales can go to supporting my next crazy idea. For Sockman on Mars. Yeah, I did not give him the name Sockman. That was actually doled out by my son. He always called those windsock dancers that we see Sockman. Trying to keep the camera awake. All right, the other project I wanted to update on, Practical. You gave me you and a couple people actually, the most popular idea on the cleaning kit. If you haven't seen the cleaning kit yet, guys, go to my cleaning kit bin right here. This is the cleaning kit. It's basically just a bunch of metal rods, and I of course grabbed a closed one, but for cleaning out your nozzles. And it's not the drill bits, which is awesome. But the downside was that they don't have. I don't know where I put my open one, but they're just metal, and they don't have any kind of labeling to them because they're just tiny, small pieces of metal. And so I've been talking back and forth, like, what's the best way to do it? And so I finally got my Plastidip Create Your Color Kit, and I thought I'd give it a go, see how this goes. I think this is going to be awesome, like you guys said, but I will try that out and do a video on it, and we'll see how it goes. And then the key is going to be finding out if my manufacturer will do this or can partner somebody that can. Yeah. So thank you, Practical, and thank you everybody else who suggested the Plastidip. I think it's an awesome idea. Side note on Plastidip too, I tried to create my own Plastidip by melting PLA into a pool, into like a little crucible, and dipping stuff in it, and that does not work as well as you might think it would. If I have the chance, it's in the edit bin. I'll post that. I may just not have gotten the temps right. I'm not going to call it a failure yet. But that could be a good like DIY project for people that have the kit that doesn't have, because what I did, if you didn't already realize, like I put these up for sale kind of as is, saying like I'm working on a method for indicating which size is which, and so that's in progress still. So I like Plastidip. I think it's just a matter of figuring out how to get that created for everyone here. This is silly if I'm not actually showing the tool off, but I'm pretty sure you guys have all already seen it. Yeah, Sean, you teasing me on Twitter, man. I thought I was gonna see an order in for you. It is, from what I hear, I've had nothing but good feedback on it. I mean, it's kind of funny because it's really like nothing other than just strips of metal. Here, it's even gonna be hard to see. Focus, and there's no labeling to them. So we've talked about a bunch of different things. Carmelo was offered to do like a silicone mold for the end. I thought that might be overkill. So I'm open to any idea, but I think we're gonna try the Plastidip. I also found some really cool colored zip ties that are janky, but they work as a kind of an indicator temporarily. So, you know, I think there's solutions. Jeff, when you get your first pay, hey, awesome! Print 3D channel is in the house. Hello, thank you for joining us. Awesome, thank you for the order, Sean. I appreciate that, and like I said, I appreciate all the suggestions. Wow, I'm happy you guys are all here. I think I'm gonna call it a night for tonight, but I'm getting better at this streaming thing, so hopefully the next one goes off with even less of a hitch. We're gonna save that for next time. This is a mess here. So the takeaways from today are: don't stress out about creating content. You're doing a great job and everybody supports you. There's going to be a deeper dive on the resuming prints coming out as a separate video, but we talked about that earlier on, my method. Thank you for the encouragement, Sean. That's good. We're going to call number 2 in the bucket. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the same thing I did last time on the stream, and for those of you who are still with me, for the participants I've still got, I'm going to just throw your name into, we're going low tech. If I had time, I should have looked up some sort of like random generator or some fair like online tool for doing a drawing, but I'm going to give away a 4-pack of the V-line stuff that I sell. And I think some of you've probably seen it. It's been shown off, but here's what it looks like. Yeah, see, you'd think I'd have all this stuff in front of me and ready to show off, but I don't. We're missing blue. So this is a kilo. This is an equivalent of a kilo. You got your RGBY, which is not because I believe you can blend RGBY to get different colors, guys. It's just popular colors, obviously, coincidentally. Comes in a nice little box, packed all together. They're 250-gram spools each. And the idea behind them was smaller spools, a little more variance in color for you know, a reasonable price if somebody was just getting started with printing. So that's why I bundled them that way. V-line, I know that sounds. It stands for value line because I have a max line as well, and the value line is sourced overseas. This is rebranded stuff. I don't make it. I don't pretend to do that. Like I said, everything that I sell in my Amazon store is really just in support of what I do as a maker. That's my means of support. My max line, which is the full pound, the half kilo spools, which is I guess a pound, roughly, is sourced in the USA. A little more pricey. Was targeted originally for education, specifically for MakerBots. It fits, and these actually fit in MakerBot cartridge holders as well. But to the drawing. All right, so I have 9 people watching, but only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 signed into chat. Is that right? The participants. Am I seeing that right, Matt? So I guess I've got a couple of nons. I had a couple people drop in and drop out. That's totally understandable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Well, and then one of them's me. Wow. So your odds are fantastic tonight, guys. This is a 4-pack actually. This is a 1 kilo 4-pack. I have a 3-pack as well. It just doesn't have the yellow. Thank you. It is vibrant colors. So I'm going to put your names in this. We'll do a quick drawing, and we'll call it a night. My pen from my handy-dandy Sorceress pen holder. All right. If you want in, you better make yourself known on chat right now. I've got Matt. I've got Chris. Got 2 Jeffs. We'll go DeRusso. Print 3D. And that's it, right? Oh wait, how could I forget Sean? I'm so sorry. That's right. We're putting him in. We're putting him in the iris. Sorry, Sean. Didn't forget you, bud. Okay. And for any of you lurkers watching anonymously, if you want to get in on this next time, you better show back up again. Dun, 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 because you must be present to win. This is so janky. Oh, Bob. Bob's in there. Sorry, Bob. You showed back up. Okay, this is for the whole 4-pack. And then maybe we'll do it again next time. All right, did I get everybody? Somebody speak up now if I missed somebody. One last check, because we don't want to leave anybody behind. I am sweating like crazy. This is the... How do you guys deal with like having to turn off the AC while you live stream so it doesn't create the things we do for a good audio experience, right? All right, so just to prove everything, if Bob is going in there, Jeff, DeRusso, Chris, Matt, Sean. We close it. We shake it. And the winner is... I need like drum roll music. I'm not looking. I'm not looking. Oh man, who's it gonna be? Oh, look at who the big winner is. That would be Matt. Why do I have such a hard time with this? There we go. Yeah. Winner, dude. All right, DM me to claim your prize. I'll get it off to you. You can do some printing. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Sorry about the technical difficulties and the craziness. I'm getting better. I appreciate the encouragement. Good shake. Good shake. Have a good night. Make on.